She didn't knock. Just barged in like she owned the place. Eyes darting from corner to corner like she was afraid of what she might find. Typical Amanda. Always dramatic when it suited her, always cold when it didn't. I didn't say anything at first. I just watched her walk in those ridiculous white heels, the same ones she wore the night I found out. She finally spotted me on the couch, a drink in one hand, the TV on mute, half a smile on my face. Calm. Too calm. You changed the locks? She snapped. Yeah. I said, not moving. Felt like a good time. 3 months ago I was a different man. Quiet. Careful. The guy who still believed in second chances, in explanations, in maybe it's not what it looks like. But everything changed on that Tuesday afternoon when I followed my instincts instead of her words. She told me she was working remotely that day. Something about back-to-back Zoom calls and a migraine. She even fake coughed on the phone. Almost convincing, but something in her voice was off. Too scripted. So I drove. I didn't even know what I was looking for. I just knew where to go. The hotel near 8th and Lakeview. Not even a fancy one. Just a clean, quiet spot with tinted glass doors and valet that didn't ask questions. I parked across the street and waited. 30 minutes in, I saw her. My wife. Hair done up. Makeup perfect. Walking straight into the lobby in a beige coat I hadn't seen before. Smiling at her phone. 2 minutes later, Greg followed. Sunglasses on. Same blue button-down he wore in that LinkedIn photo she showed me when she got the job. The man didn't even try to hide it. Had his hand on the small of her back before they reached the elevator. That was the moment. Not the messages. Not the lies. That moment, watching the woman I gave my life to walk into a hotel with another man like it was the most normal thing in the world. That broke something in me. I didn't confront her right away. I waited. Let it stew. I watched patterns, tracked calls, took screenshots. I started smiling at her lies. Playing dumb. Even brought her flowers once just to watch her squirm. You learn a lot about a person when they think you're still blind. I became a shadow in my own home. Quiet. Calculating. She got bolder. More nights working late. More weekends with the girls. But no selfies, no tagged posts. Just holes in her stories. And I let her dig deeper, smiling while she buried herself. Until today. She stepped closer, hands on her hips, that same smug look on her face. So what, you're locking me out now? You can't just. I tossed a manila envelope onto the coffee table. She flinched. She knew. Inside. Screenshots, hotel receipts, GPS logs. A copy of her messages with Gregory. I compiled it all. I'd waited. Calculated the moment. And today, 3 months to the day since I watched that elevator door close on my wife, I made sure she'd never see me as weak again. You can leave now, I said. But make sure you take your lies with you. The shock on her face, worth every second. And that was just the beginning. She stood there, stunned. Her perfectly manicured hands trembling ever so slightly as they hovered above the envelope. Amanda was never one to lose composure. She'd rather eat glass than show weakness. But this knocked the wind out of her. She didn't even open it. What is this? She asked, voice cracking just a hair. I didn't blink. Everything you didn't want me to know. She stared at me, face frozen in that halfway expression between fury and fear, trying to decide whether to lie, scream, or storm out. Her mind was working double time, I could see it, calculating angles, planning excuses, but I'd given her no room. You went through my stuff? She finally spat. You spied on me? I let out a low laugh. No, Amanda. I paid attention. Something you stopped doing a long time ago. Her eyes narrowed. You're acting insane. I stood, slowly, took 2 steps toward her and stopped just out of reach. Then opened the envelope. Prove it. She didn't move. Go on, I said, voice low. Let's see how crazy I really am. For the first time since this all began, she had no words, just silence. That poisonous, electric silence that falls when a liar knows they've been caught and there's nothing left to manipulate. Her eyes darted down to the envelope again, then back to me. Still didn't touch it. You don't understand. she said finally, grasping for air. Greg and I, it's complicated. I actually smiled. No, Amanda. Stealing staplers from the office is complicated. You screwing your boss in a hotel while lying to your husband? That's calculated. She looked like she wanted to slap me, and for a moment I kind of hoped she would. But instead, she went cold. Her whole face turned into that version of her I'd started seeing over the past year. The cruel one, the indifferent one. The one who didn't even pretend to love me anymore. I deserve more than this, she snapped. You never understood my ambitions. You were content with your little job, your routine, your safe life. Greg sees me. There it was. The confession. Sharp and cruel. And weirdly casual. 6 years. Vacations. Birthdays. Nights we stayed up talking about dreams. Tossed aside like garbage because some smug corporate wannabe with a leased BMW told her she was special. I nodded. Yeah, he sees you, all right. Every Thursday at the Clarion. Every Tuesday at that Airbnb on Cormac Street. Want me to go on? Her lip twitched. She was cracking. You have no right. I had every right, I said, stepping in now, letting the heat rise. You forfeited the right to privacy when you turned our marriage into a side hustle. She flinched. That hit. But I wasn't done. Not even close. I've spoken to a lawyer, I said calmly. I've got the proof. I've got your messages. I've got everything. You walk out that door, it's over. You stay here and we can drag it through the courts if you want. Either way, you don't win. Her eyes widened. You wouldn't. Try me. She looked around the room like she was trying to find an exit in her own life. But this wasn't her stage anymore. I'd taken it back. And then, she laughed. A short, bitter thing that didn't reach her eyes. You think this makes you some kind of hero? She said. You're pathetic. You couldn't keep me interested, so you played detective instead. No, I said. I just finally saw you for what you are. I picked up the envelope and held it out. Take it. Or don't. Either way, Amanda, I'm done being your fool. She grabbed it, hands shaking now. Her mouth opened. Maybe to curse me, maybe to plead. But I walked away. Left her standing there with 6 years of betrayal in her hands and no one left to blame but herself. That was the night she stopped being my wife. And I stopped being the man who waited around to be broken. She didn't leave that night. She just stood in the middle of the living room with that envelope in her hand, like it weighed 1,000 pounds. For a long time, neither of us said anything. I went into the kitchen, poured myself another drink, and sat back down on the couch like I wasn't watching a house of lies collapse. She finally moved, quietly, like a ghost, took off her heels, set them by the door, and walked barefoot across the hardwood floor. It used to be something I loved. Watching her glide around our home like she belonged to it. Now it just felt like someone trespassing in a place that used to matter. She sat across from me, her knees pulled up like a child about to confess something awful. I didn't mean for it to happen, she started. I didn't reply. I was lost, okay? She said. You don't know what it's like feeling invisible in your own home. I chuckled, low and bitter. You felt invisible? She flinched. You were always working, always tired, always in bed by 10. And Greg, he noticed me. He made me feel like I mattered again. You mattered every damn day. I snapped. You just got bored. That's all this was. You didn't fall into his arms, Amanda. You walked. Willingly. And often. She looked down, ashamed, or at least pretending to be. Her voice softened. I don't love him. That caught me off guard. I raised an eyebrow. What? She shook her head slowly. I don't. It wasn't about love. It was just, I wanted to feel powerful. Wanted to feel wanted. I didn't think it would go this far. So it was an ego trip? I asked cold now. That's supposed to make it better? She looked me dead in the eye. I was scared of how ordinary we'd become. There it was again. Ordinary. As if that was some kind of curse. As if building a life together, making it through layoffs, funerals, the day-to-day grind, that was something to be ashamed of. I leaned forward. Let me make this crystal clear for you. Ordinary didn't break us. You did. With your lies. with your sneaking around, with your complete lack of respect for the life we built together. She started to tear up, but even her crying felt performative now. Like she knew what sadness was supposed to look like, but couldn't actually feel it. I don't know what to do, she whispered. I do, I said. You're going to move out. I already emptied the joint account. My name's on the mortgage. I'll file for divorce first thing Monday. You can explain the rest to Greg. Or don't. I don't care. Her mouth opened, shocked. You're just ending it? You ended it months ago, I said, standing up. I'm just signing the paperwork. I walked out of the room before she could say another word. Behind me, I heard the quiet rustle of her opening the envelope, the sound of her betrayal becoming tangible. Later that night, I heard the front door open, then close. No goodbye. She was gone. I didn't sleep. I just sat in the dark, listening to the silence she left behind. It wasn't peaceful. Not yet. But it was honest. And that was more than I'd had in a long time. The next morning, the house was quiet in a way that didn't feel real. No heels clacking across the hallway. No coffee brewing. No Amanda fake singing in the shower. Just the steady hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of the old floorboards, sounds I'd heard 1,000 times but never really listened to. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the untouched second mug of coffee I'd poured out of habit. Hers. Still piping hot. It hit me harder than I expected, how instinct can keep you doing things for someone long after they've stopped deserving it. Around 9:30, my phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. We need to talk. Please. I knew it was her. I didn't respond. 5 minutes later, another one. It wasn't just physical. He made me feel alive. I'm sorry. I still care about you. Still care? Still care. The kind of line you throw out when you want to soften the blow but keep your options open. Amanda had always been good with half-truths. It was her talent, making ugly things sound poetic. But here's the thing, when someone sets fire to your house, you don't thank them for remembering to knock first. I got up, grabbed a trash bag, and started packing her things. Methodical. Silent. Like a surgeon removing something diseased. Everything she left behind, the bathrobe I got her last Christmas, her skincare bottles lined up like soldiers in the bathroom, the stack of old magazines with dog-eared pages she never read, I threw it all into bags. Around noon, she called. I let it ring. Then again. I turned my phone off. By 2 p.m. I was pulling into her sister's driveway. Danielle was the only one in Amanda's family who ever gave a damn about me. When she opened the door and saw the bags, she didn't ask a thing. Just gave me a sad nod and helped me carry them inside. She said you'd find out, Danielle said quietly, setting down the last bag. She just didn't expect you to walk away. I looked at her. Why not? Danielle gave me a look I didn't understand at first. Because you always forgave her. That one stung. I drove home slower than usual. The silence in the car felt heavier now. But not suffocating, just still. Clean. Back at the house, I opened the closet and realized for the first time in years I had space. Actual, physical space. Half-empty shelves. A bed that was mine again. A bathroom without a second toothbrush I didn't want to see anymore. That night, I sat out on the back porch, wrapped in an old hoodie, just staring at the stars. And I thought about how strange it was how betrayal doesn't always come with a crash. Sometimes it just walks in wearing perfume, lies through its teeth, and calls it love. But now it was out. Now it was real. And tomorrow, I'd start making sure it stayed behind me for good. 2 days passed without a word. Then, on the third morning, I opened the front door to find Amanda standing on the porch, clutching a to-go coffee tray and wearing that same oversized college hoodie she used to wear when she wanted to look soft and harmless. Like the hoodie could erase everything. Like foam hearts in a cup would make the truth easier to drink. Don't slam the door, she said quickly before I could even speak. Just, let me talk. I didn't say anything. I didn't move. She took that as permission, stepping inside with that same quiet, calculated grace. Set the tray down on the kitchen counter like we were about to sit and chat about the weather. I haven't been able to sleep, she started, eyes already welling up. I keep thinking about everything. How it ended. How I handled it. What I threw away. You didn't throw it, I said flatly. You torched it. She flinched. I know I did. She stepped closer, voice breaking like she was auditioning for remorse. Greg meant nothing, Ethan. It wasn't love. It was stupid. It was selfish. But it was never about you. I shook my head slowly. That's the part you still don't get. It was always about me. Every lie you told required me to trust you. Every time you came home smelling like hotel shampoo, I had to believe the version of you that looked me in the eye and said nothing was wrong. I didn't want to hurt you. Then why didn't you stop? Amanda paused. She didn't answer because we both knew the answer. She didn't stop because she didn't want to. Because she thought she could get away with it. Because somewhere deep in her twisted little worldview, I was just safe. Reliable. The husband she could cheat on Monday night and cry to on Tuesday. I watched her eyes flicker toward the living room at the framed photos still on the shelves. Us in Yosemite. Her laughing in the kitchen, barefoot, flower on her cheek. Me holding her hand at her sister's wedding. She actually tried to smile. Ethan, she said softly. We had something real. No, I replied. I had something real. You had options. There it was. The crack. Her mouth twitched, whether in anger or guilt, I couldn't tell. But her hands clenched. The mask was slipping. I made one mistake, she hissed. One mistake. I laughed short and sharp. Do you know how many Thursday nights you didn't come home until after midnight? How many lies you stacked on top of each other and called it marriage? Amanda, you had a second relationship. You weren't confused. You were committed to him. She stepped back like I'd struck her. But I wasn't done. You came here to do what? Fix it? Sweet talk your way back into my house? Into my bed? You think a sad little apology and a latte's going to make me forget the way you looked at him? I didn't love him, she yelled. I don't care. I shouted back. Because you stopped loving me. Silence. Real, thick silence. The kind that makes your chest hurt. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I don't know who I am anymore. That makes two of us. She nodded slowly, then reached into her bag and pulled out a ring. Her wedding ring. She set it gently on the table. I won't fight you, she said quietly. You're right. About all of it. I lied. I betrayed you. And if I could go back, yeah? You can't, I cut in. She looked like she wanted to say more, but instead she turned, walked toward the door, and paused. I really did love you, she whispered. I didn't look at her. The door clicked shut. I stared at that ring for a long time. I didn't touch it. I just sat there in the stillness of a home that was finally mine again. The house was cleaner without her. Not just in the obvious way, less makeup on the sink, fewer shoes at the door, but in the air. In the feel. Like it had exhaled with relief the moment Amanda walked out and took her hurricane with her. For the first time in what felt like years, I could breathe. But peace doesn't come all at once. It trickles in, real slow, between the hours when the TV's still on but you're not watching it, when you pass the hallway where her laughter used to echo, and it just doesn't anymore. The day after she left the ring, I didn't touch it. I walked past it like it was some cursed artifact, something soaked in betrayal that would stain me if I picked it up. Every time I entered the kitchen, there it was, quiet, silver, circular, still. Proof of a promise broken. I spent most of that week moving in reverse. Waking up earlier than usual. Cooking breakfast even when I wasn't hungry. Sitting out on the back porch watching the neighbor's dog dig holes and chew up its leash. It was like my body was still trying to live in the version of life we used to have, even though my brain knew that version was dead. Then Thursday came. The day it used to happen. The meetings. The working late. The lies she wrapped in office jargon and calendar invites. And like clockwork, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. But it wasn't unknown. Not really. He dumped me. That's all it said. Just 3 words. Cold. Desperate. Designed to pull. I stared at it for a long time. The irony punched harder than I expected. Amanda thought that would matter to me. That him leaving her would suddenly make everything okay. Like I'd welcome her back with open arms because now she was the one bleeding. I didn't respond. An hour later, another message. I made a mistake. I don't have anyone else to talk to. I shut my phone off and tossed it onto the couch. It wasn't about being cold or bitter anymore. It was about finally choosing myself. I realized then, for all those months she was slipping away, I was shrinking. Making myself smaller to keep her. Swallowing doubts, avoiding confrontations, hoping if I just loved her harder, she'd come back to me. But love doesn't fix rot. It doesn't rebuild what someone else is actively tearing down. That night, I sat down with my lawyer. We filed the divorce papers. Clean, swift, non-negotiable. I didn't want the house, I didn't want revenge, I didn't want to fight for the pieces, I just wanted free. On the way home, I stopped by this old diner we used to go to. Alone this time. Got a booth by the window. Same server. She recognized me. Where's your wife tonight? She asked with a smile. I smiled back. Gone. She paused, glanced down, and nodded. Then maybe now you can eat in peace. I looked at the menu, ordered something new, something Amanda never liked, and for the first time in a long time, it tasted like mine. A week later, the box showed up on my doorstep. No note. No name on the sender. Just a plain cardboard box with my address scribbled in her handwriting, slanted, rushed, like even she didn't believe in what she was doing anymore. I didn't open it right away. Just brought it inside and left it by the hallway closet where it sat like some sad little monument to the 6 years I'd spent being lied to. Eventually curiosity got the better of me. Inside, a scarf I got her on our anniversary in Asheville. A few photo strips from some dumb booth at a friend's wedding. A half-filled journal I never knew she kept. The kind with wide-lined pages and little scribbles in the margins. Her handwriting looked different in it, softer, like she hadn't turned into someone else yet. At the very bottom was a framed picture of us, the one from our 3rd year together, when things were still easy. Before Greg. Before excuses. Before the slow erosion that started with late texts and ended with hotel receipts. I stared at that photo for a while. We looked happy. She was wearing my flannel. Her arms were looped around my waist and my hand was in her hair. And I looked at myself. Not just at the smile, but what was behind it. The trust. The certainty. The belief that what I was holding on to wouldn't slip out of my fingers one day and shatter. Then I flipped the frame over. One of her little notes was taped to the back. Like a parting gift. I hope someday you remember the good parts too. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I just quietly placed the photo face down on the counter and walked away. That's the thing cheaters never understand. They think they can drop breadcrumbs of nostalgia behind them, hoping you'll follow the trail back into the mess. But I wasn't starving anymore. I wasn't desperate for her version of love, where loyalty came with conditions and affection had to be earned through silence. The days after the box felt lighter. I started sleeping better. No more pacing at 1 a.m. wondering why she hadn't come home. No more second-guessing every offhand comment or shift in her tone. My body stopped bracing for impact. Then came the next surprise, Greg. Yeah. Greg. He emailed me. Not even kidding. Subject line. An apology man to man. I didn't even open it at first. I just stared at it, stunned that the same guy who helped gut my marriage thought I wanted closure from him. But curiosity's a funny thing. So I read it. The guy actually said he didn't mean for it to go that far. That he thought Amanda and I were on a break when it started. Said he was blindsided when she got too serious and crossed boundaries. That he felt used. Used. The man who took my wife into hotel rooms, sent her texts at midnight, and paraded around my marriage like a trophy now wanted to play the victim. I didn't reply. I forwarded the email to Amanda with one line. Your soulmate's looking for comfort. Might want to answer his call. She didn't reply either. Didn't have to. That was the moment I knew I was finally on the other side of it all. Not angry. Not broken. Just done. No more revenge. No more hoping for apologies that came too late. I didn't need either of them to feel what I'd felt. I had my freedom, and no one was taking that from me again. It's strange how quickly the world moves on after your life burns down. Work was still work. My neighbor still mowed his lawn at 7 a.m. sharp every Saturday. The barista at the corner cafe still asked if I wanted oat milk. The world didn't care that my marriage collapsed like a house built on wet sand. And maybe that was a good thing. I found myself rebuilding in the most ordinary ways. New groceries in the fridge, things Amanda never liked. Spontaneous dinners. Old friends I hadn't seen in months, even years, suddenly reappearing like ghosts that actually gave a damn. One night, Josh, my oldest friend from college, dragged me out to a small get-together. Nothing wild. Just 6 of us around a backyard fire pit, laughing over drinks, telling stories like we were still 23. Someone asked about Amanda. Josh answered before I could. She's gone, he said simply. She picked a clown in a suit over a husband. The group went silent for half a second, waiting for me to correct him. I didn't, because yeah, that's exactly what happened. But what surprised me most was that no one pitied me. No one looked at me like I was broken. One guy even said, "You seem better, actually." And I was. That night, for the first time, I realized I didn't miss her. Not really. I missed having someone. I missed companionship. But her? The version of Amanda that existed at the end. Calculating, cruel, dismissive. I didn't miss her. I didn't miss the stomach-dropping feeling when she'd walk in the door an hour late, smelling like lies. I didn't miss sleeping next to someone who was miles away with her eyes open. The next morning, I got a call from an old mutual friend of ours. Sarah. "Hey, I heard about everything," she said softly. I expected awkward sympathy, maybe even some gossip. But what I got was unexpected. "She came to see me last night," Sarah continued, crying, "talking about how you've changed, that you're cold now, distant." I laughed. Sarah didn't. "She said something weird," she went on. "Said she thinks you're seeing someone already." I blinked. "What?" "She said she saw a receipt in the trash when she stopped by. For 2 dinners. 1 vegetarian. That stopped me. Because I'd had someone over. Just a friend. A woman from work who brought wine and laughed at my terrible Spotify playlist. We talked until 2 a.m. Nothing happened. No lines crossed. But the moment Amanda imagined I was moving on, suddenly she cared? "She told me she thinks you're doing it on purpose," Sarah added. "Trying to hurt her." That right there? That was classic Amanda. She could betray. She could lie. She could erase 6 years like scribbling off a grocery list. But me? I couldn't heal unless it made her the center of it. "She left a ring on my counter," I said quietly. "And a box of memories I didn't ask for. She doesn't get to be the one who's hurt now." "I know," Sarah replied. "I just thought you should know what she's saying." After we hung up, I sat in my kitchen looking around at my half-rebuilt life. The coffee machine she used to complain about. The new lamp I bought last week. My playlist humming low through the speakers. She thought I was trying to make her jealous? No, Amanda. This wasn't for you. This was for me. Because moving on doesn't mean replacing someone. It means choosing yourself louder. This time point 2 weeks later, I saw her. I wasn't planning to. I wasn't hoping to. I was just grabbing groceries, normal stuff, eggs, frozen pizza, a 6-pack, and a new brand of cereal I'd been trying out. I was halfway through the self-checkout line when I looked up and there she was. Amanda. Aisle 5. Holding a bottle of wine she used to tell me was too dry. Wearing those tall beige boots I tripped over every winter for years. Standing there like nothing ever happened. She hadn't noticed me yet, so I just watched. Not out of longing, out of curiosity. The woman in front of me looked like Amanda, dressed like Amanda, but something about her seemed smaller. Not in size, just in presence. That sharp, arrogant air she used to walk around with? Gone. She looked tired. Not just tired, lost. And then she turned. And saw me. It was fast, the flicker in her eyes. Panic, maybe? Or something that wanted to be softness. Her mouth parted like she was about to speak, but I beat her to it with a nod. One of those casual, nothing nods you give strangers. She blinked. Just once. And I walked away. I didn't even look back. 5 minutes later, I was in the parking lot loading bags into my car when I heard footsteps rushing up behind me. "Ethan, wait." I paused, sighed, and turned. She was standing there, out of breath, bottle of wine in one hand, phone in the other, like she wasn't sure which one to drop first. "I didn't expect to see you here," she said awkwardly. "It's a grocery store," I replied. "Not a portal." She tried to smile. It died halfway. "I've been thinking about you," she said, brushing hair behind her ear like it mattered. I wanted to ask how you've been." I looked at her for a beat. "Why?" She blinked again. "Because I care." "You cared when you lied," I said. "You cared when you deleted your messages. You cared when you said Greg saw you. So forgive me if I don't buy the new version." Her face tightened, but I wasn't done. "You weren't just unfaithful, Amanda. You were calculated. You built a second life behind my back. You made me feel like a burden while you played soulmate with a suit." She lowered her gaze, quiet now. "I'm not here to fight," she whispered. I've been trying to go to therapy. I'm trying to be better." "Good," I said. "Be better for the next guy. I'm not your rehab." She swallowed hard. And then she asked it. The thing I knew was coming. "Are you seeing someone?" I laughed, not loud, just enough for her to feel it. "I'm seeing myself," I said. Finally. She didn't know what to do with that. So she just stood there, looking like she wanted to rewind time, but only to the part where she still had control. The part where I still needed her. But I didn't. Not anymore. I got in my car. She stepped back, still holding the wine. Still standing in a parking lot she used to drive away from on Thursday nights while I waited with dinner going cold. As I pulled out, I didn't even feel anger. Just relief. Like watching the final scene of a movie that overstayed its welcome. Let the credits roll. It's been 4 months now. For months since Amanda walked out of my life carrying a bag of lies and a name that doesn't mean the same thing anymore. The house feels like mine again. The bed doesn't feel too big. The silence doesn't feel heavy. I've stopped checking my phone without realizing it. I've stopped waiting for doors to open that should have been locked a long time ago. Some days I don't think about her at all. Other days she's a flicker, something I pass on the road, a song in a cafe, a ghost of a plan we made that never happened. But it doesn't hurt anymore. That's the difference. Pain was sharp at first. Then it was heavy. Yeah? It's dull. Forgettable. I still get the occasional message. An email here. Hey, hope you're okay there. Little lifelines she tosses out, hoping maybe I'll pull her back onto the ship she sank. I never respond. Because this piece I've built, it's not hers to walk into anymore. I've started running again. Something I gave up during our marriage, back when everything was about our time and our routine and our priorities. I wake up early, lace up my shoes, and run until I can't hear anything but my own breath. It's the most honest thing I've done in years. No pretending. No faking. Just motion. A few weeks ago, I met someone. Not the kind of met someone Amanda would panic over. Not a rebound. Not revenge. Just a person. We sat across from each other at a bookstore cafe. She had a stack of novels and a drink she kept stirring even though she never took a sip. We talked about music, about how paper books feel like home, about how silence between two people doesn't have to be uncomfortable. I didn't tell her about Amanda. Not yet. Because she's not a replacement. She's not a fix. She's just a possibility. And for now, that's more than enough. If there's anything I've learned from all this, it's this. Love isn't about grand gestures. It's not about the perfect couple photos or anniversary posts with rehearsed captions. It's about consistency, respect, presence. It's about staying when it's boring, when it's hard, when it's imperfect, and choosing someone anyway. Amanda didn't choose me. She chose excitement over effort, attention over loyalty, a thrill over a future. And when she realized the thrill didn't last, she came crawling back. Not out of love, out of habit. Out of fear of being alone. But I'm not afraid of being alone anymore. I'm afraid of losing myself again. Of shrinking to fit someone else's emptiness. So if you're reading this and you're in that place I was, the one where your stomach drops every time their phone lights up, where your gut tells you something's wrong but you keep swallowing it down just to keep the peace, I want you to hear this. You are not crazy. You are not paranoid. And you deserve honesty without having to dig for it. Walk away. Even if your legs shake. Even if your heart fights it. Because the second you stop chasing someone who's running from you, you start walking toward the version of yourself that never needed to beg. And that version? He's the one who survives.